We're doing it! We're doing it! And I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am.
All this damage and death can be traced back to one man, Alex Karp, the demon that walks the earth, claiming to be a savior to the people of the Western world with involvements in the CIA, ICE, Ukraine, military actions in the Middle East, and soon to be Terminator robots weaponized here in the US. His words, not mine. We will go over briefly how he grew up, which surprised the hell out of me. Then we will tackle the real issues at hand, which is what he has created over the last 20 years and plans to push for in the future. Alex Karp was born in 1967 in New York City from a Jewish father who was a pediatrician and his mother who was an African-American artist that focused on the suffering of young black children. And one of her most famous art pieces was about a string of mass murders on black children that were kidnapped and killed in Atlanta in the 1980s. His mother and father were both activists who took him to civil rights protests and marches, exposing him to the injustice that black people have faced in America. And I find this super interesting because his companies are actively robbing people of basic human rights, which he learned to protest against. A trend we will see throughout this entire video is Karp and everyone around him realizing he was different, and I'm quoting him here, "I just think I've always viewed myself as I don't fit in and I can't really try to." And he sticks to these words because he doesn't try to fit in, not even with his family, because with a father and mother that spent their lives devoting their times to others, Alex Karp seems to have veered off that path completely. There is not a ton of information about his early years of life. It really starts when he graduates from Haverford College in Pennsylvania in 1983 with a bachelor's in philosophy. He then goes on to Stanford to study law, which is where he meets Peter Thiel, who is a very important figure.
Well, you know, Peter and I have been friends for almost 30 years. We met at Stanford. He was on the right side of many issues. He's a little more eclectic, I think, than Pete, but mostly on the right, and I was mostly, if not exclusively, on more kind of a progressive side of things.
If you haven't seen my Peter Thiel video, I recommend checking it out. It will give you a better understanding of who he is. For now, Peter Thiel is going to go in the background because Alex Karp transfers to Goethe University in Germany. His dad was from Germany, so he says he feels comfortable there because you can say whatever you want without being canceled, and this is just classic conservative mindset. Even with his dad immigrating here from Germany, Karp is strongly against immigration, with his companies helping ICE to remove immigrants. So while he's in Germany, he's getting his PhD in neoclassical social theory. What I find so funny is he didn't follow law because he said, "I learned at law school that I cannot do something I do not believe in." So instead of doing law, he started his own investment firm called the Caidman Group. Why I find this so funny is because he talks about something you believe in, like a higher calling, and instead he ends up getting an inheritance from his grandpa to start a money management business for high net worth individuals. Truly heroic. So I couldn't find a ton of information on the Caidman Group besides their incorporation back in 2005 in London. It took me a bit to figure out if this was his actual company, so I went to the UK's government website and looked up the people that work at the Caidman Group, and all of those people work at Alex Karp's main company now, which is Palantir, and we are going to do a deep dive on Palantir very soon. One person that stuck out to me is Melanie Bertona, who is said to have a significant control or influence in his investment firm, and her role now at Palantir is head of digital transformation strategy. So according to this paperwork, she has been around since 2005, but the way she talks about Dr. Karp is kind of weird and it makes it seem like a cult.
I mean, obviously, you know, Dr. Karp's just written a book and everyone should read it. And, you know, there's a, you know, I think the main theme of it is that it's really important to believe in something.
So after starting this investment firm, he gets the most important call of his life from Peter Thiel. Thiel in the PayPal mafia had just sold PayPal for over $1 billion, and Thiel walked away with over $50 million for himself. And with that money, he tells Karp he's going to start a new business and he wants Karp to run it. Thiel claims the fraud detection system for data that PayPal was using could potentially be used at mass scale for not just normal people, but for governments around the world, thus the creation of Palantir. Palantir is a software company that can integrate, analyze massive amounts of data from images, spreadsheets, DNA, pretty much anything, all on a platform that is accessible and easily understandable to anyone. The reason they named the company Palantir is after the Seeing Stones and Lord of the Rings.
Always tempted to do the literary answer from Lord of the Rings. Seeing Stone, which is very powerful. It helps you helps you understand the world better. It was originally created by the elves. It was meant to be used for good purposes. It is a potentially very dangerous technology. It's very powerful. Ends up playing a very important role in the way the series goes.
I always find it interesting when these rich people use references from movies and they don't even get the reference. The idea of the stones in Lord of the Rings was that they were dangerous and were used as ways to manipulate people. Because although everything the stones saw was real, they always came to the wrong conclusion, which would eventually lead to the downfall of the user because you would overlook what's right in front of you. 9/11 happened.
That people with links to the Osama bin Laden organization are responsible for today's attack.
Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward. And freedom will be defended.
And Palantir's founding is in response to that. It's founded with the idea to protect civil liberties of Americans and innocent people in the world. The early investors, however, are from In-Q-Tel, an investment fund that comes from the NSA, FBI, and CIA, and I don't really trust them to protect my civil liberties.
We invest in companies for two reasons. The first reason is we invest in companies to deliver capabilities to CIA, NSA, and other agencies we work with. And by that I mean when we make an investment, we also facilitate the piloting of those technologies by the agencies we work with. And if the pilot goes well, the end agency will contract directly with the portfolio company for more stuff, more licenses, more gadgets, whatever they sell. And we call that an adoption when that happens. The second reason we invest is to deliver insight. It's important for the CIA and other government agencies to understand where commercial technology is going, how they may be able to take advantage of it, but also how their adversaries may take advantage of it.
Between 2003 and 2009, Karp was in the background creating Palantir with its only work coming from the US government. During this time, Peter Thiel said that Karp was the perfect person for the job because he was different and everyone knew it. He went into meetings never dressed in a suit and refused to conform to business attire or language, and Peter Thiel says that's why he was able to sell the company so well. When Karp was making his sales pitch to these agencies, people knew what they were trying to do was different, and Karp was the embodiment of that difference. While In-Q-Tel put up $2 million for their investment in Palantir, their real investment didn't come from money. It came from working with the CIA's largest database. The CIA and Palantir's analysts worked together in determining the type of platform that Palantir would turn into. There is a very important reason why the US chose Palantir and why Karp was the perfect fit. It wasn't because he was smart, it wasn't because he was different, it was because he is paranoid. This is a quote that will help understand every single choice that Karp makes about Palantir and how paranoia fit hand in hand with the US regime. Who's the first person who is going to get hung? You make a list and I will show you who they get first. It's me. There's not a box I don't check. His fear, he said, propels a lot of the decisions for this company. For Karp, it's not about civil liberties for others or protecting innocent people. It's about protecting himself, and this is the embodiment of the US system since its inception. It's important to understand that for the last 20 years, Karp has spent his entire life completely invested in building Palantir. He has no wife, no kids, no dog. The only thing he has is this company, and no moves are made without his permission. Palantir is Alex Karp, and Alex Karp is Palantir. In 2009, Palantir starts gaining traction, and Alex Karp is pushed into the spotlight doing interviews, becoming the face of Palantir, and telling the world what it's capable of.
Alex Karp is here. He is the co-founder and CEO of Palantir Technologies. The company's data mining software is used by various government agencies in the United States, including the CIA, FBI, and NYPD. It is also used by hedge funds and other financial firms. Karp is a Stanford graduate and co-founded the company with ex-PayPal engineers. I am pleased to have him here at this table for the first time. He does not do many television interviews.
During 2009, there were still conflicts in the Middle East with a lot of fear-mongering around terrorism and the idea that we were still in a dangerous war with Iraq and Afghanistan against people who could potentially have nuclear weapons. Karp was able to capitalize on the weariness of not just the US State Department, but the entire country.
I see this as a commonality. America needs to establish dominance on the battlefield. Maven, what's publicly known about Maven, is one of these projects that actually took what America's the best at in the world, software, and put it in the hands of our warfighter. By the way, at enormous cost. You're sitting in Palo Alto, I had people protesting here, hundreds, putting up chains in front of our office, calling us Nazis because we were dedicated to serving the American people.
He knew that a push forward for security would bring monitoring the movements of all citizens and risk civil liberties that he claimed to be for. Every story we hear about Palantir and Karp's decisions blurs the lines of what civil liberties and freedom really means. Because what is freedom if every step we take is tracked? As Karp and Palantir began to expand their software, cracks in the system began to show. Around 2011 is the first example of this when WikiLeaks document was released on a company called HB Gary. HB Gary was a technology security company that was using Palantir to target journalists and wrote up a proposal to Bank of America. In this proposal, they told Bank of America they would target its competitors in the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. They would do things such as doing background checks on their critics and distributing fake documents to humiliate them. And the only reason any of these documents were even released is because HB Gary was trying to go toe-to-toe with the hacker group Anonymous. HB Gary was threatening to expose the real-life identities of members of Anonymous, and they were not having it. So the group Anonymous leaked all of their information to the public and exposed them first.
Executive at this computer security firm, HB Gary, provokes them, goes to a computer security conference and says, I'm going to reveal the primary members of this group. And they hack the site and they put 4.7 gigabytes of information.
Alex Karp put out a statement about HB Gary using Palantir to target journalists and critics of Bank of America. Karp would cut ties with HB Gary and apologize, saying that he believes in the freedom of speech and protecting civil liberties such as privacy. However, it seems what HB Gary was really guilty of was getting caught. Every mistake from Palantir evolved Karp. Palantir got quieter and Karp got louder. Because Karp was immune to any heat that came on Palantir, because in Karp's head, they didn't turn on him. They've always been against him. In 2013, a statement is released that Palantir is working with 13 different agencies, including multiple different branches of the military. And with their involvement in the military, reports are coming out that Palantir is saving lives by helping find IEDs and using fingerprints to track different people. But the real question of this video in Alex Karp is not how good his software is, it's at what point does it cross the line between moral and civil liberties. So around 2013, Palantir is booming. Joe Biden is thanking them for their work. They are doing partnerships in the healthcare industry, and they are even taking credit for their software being able to find and kill bin Laden.
That sounds like bin Laden. Were you involved in getting bin Laden?
We are not allowed, obviously can't discuss specifics.
Oh,
but,
come on.
Yeah. Well, in any case,
you're on television.
We're on television.
Come on.
But Palantir is central to every conflict now where America is involved.
Now this is goddamn America. Alex Karp is killing terrorists and saving American lives. We should be giving this man the Medal of Honor for protecting our rights here in America. Except the story doesn't end there. In 2018, the veil drops again for a peek behind the curtain to what Palantir has been up to during the 2016 election.
New details are emerging about how the shadowy data firm Cambridge Analytica worked to manipulate voters across the globe, from the 2016 election in the United States to the Brexit campaign in Britain, to elections in over 60 countries, including Ukraine, Malaysia, Kenya, and Brazil. Cambridge Analytica was founded by the right-wing billionaire Robert Mercer, Trump's former advisor, Steve Bannon of Breitbart News.
Thanks to a whistleblower, we find out that Palantir was helping harvest data for over 80 million people and swaying voters. Cambridge Analytica was scraping data from all these users without their knowledge and pushing pro-Donald Trump content to try to sway their vote. But how did Cambridge Analytica scrape all of this data? Palantir helped them, while of course in the beginning they denied the claims, saying they had no involvement in any of this. Eventually they found a fall guy that would be fired, and Palantir would claim it was only that one guy that was helping them. But data analysts from Cambridge Analytica would give testimony saying that senior Palantir employees were also working on the Facebook data. And of course they were. Steve Bannon is a founder and investor in Cambridge Analytica and is buddy-buddy with Peter Thiel. Now I have scoured the internet looking for Alex Karp talking about this, and I can't find anything. The only address I have found about this incident is this. A Palantir spokesperson initially denied all allegations in this entirety, saying Palantir has never had a relationship with Cambridge Analytica, nor have we ever worked on any Cambridge Analytica data. And then a second statement came out saying, as a matter of company policy, we do not and have never worked on or been involved with elections or political campaigns anywhere in the world. And then a third statement came out saying, we learned today that an employee in 2013-2014 engaged in entirely personal capacity associated with Cambridge Analytica. We are looking into this and we'll take the appropriate action. It would seem that more often than not with Palantir, there's something nefarious going on in the background. And this leads me directly into my next section of good versus evil, because let's judge Alex Karp by the fruits he's bared.
Judge them by the fruits they bear.
Project Lavender is an AI technology first used in the Gaza Strip in 2021, where they claimed it was the first AI war, but it wasn't a war, it was a slaughter. Alex Karp flew to Tel Aviv to re-sign an agreement with the IDF in 2024, and the IDF has continued its slaughter of the Palestinian people for over 18 months. But what does Palantir provide to the IDF as part of this slaughter? An Israeli soldier tells a journalist, "I would invest 20 seconds for each target and do dozens of them a day. I had zero added value as a human apart from being a stamp of approval. It saved a lot of time, the machine did it coldly, and that made it easier." Is that the value of someone's life? 20 seconds? Karp says, "I have asked myself, if I were younger at college, would I be protesting me?" He knows what he is doing is wrong, but that will not stop him. His fear is driving his choices with the thought of being, what if they come for me? Thanks to whistleblower Edward Snowden released documents in 2014, we got a good look into how they were getting this information to target people in the Middle East. Plain and simple, America sold out its own citizens to provide Israel with information about Palestinians. The NSA stated they are providing unfiltered texts and scripts of conversations that U.S. citizens are having with their relatives directly to Israel. Israeli intelligence officers are quoted talking about the use of dumb bombs rather than guided missiles.
Dumb bombs account for almost half of Israel's air-to-ground munitions in Gaza.
Up to 45% of air-to-ground munitions Israel has used in Gaza are the so-called dumb bombs. That is according to the latest U.S. intelligence assessment, described exclusively to CNN by 3 sources who saw it. The unguided or dumb bombs are less accurate and more likely to cause civilian casualties.
Dumb bombs are just missiles they drop on areas with no precision, and I will quote them, "These bombs are cheaper and you don't want to waste expensive bombs on unimportant people." If these are the Western values that Alex Karp is talking about protecting, I'm not sure we should. It's almost believable when he says that everyone will be more protected, even the people that society deems to be outsiders.
The only way in which non-belonging people belong is in the context of a Western society that protects the rule of law, that protects the right of free expression, that protects your property rights, that de facto protects unpleasant people. Our societies are still the best, though flawed, at protecting people who are unpopular because of their views, because of their habits, because of who they are.
This is a facade because Palantir not only profits from the most vulnerable people, but they actively target and police them. Police around the country use Palantir for what they call predictive policing. This directly impacts low-income neighborhoods and continues perpetuating stereotypes on Black and brown communities. Predictive policing is Palantir gathering data from text messages, phone calls, emails, license plate, any information they can extract from you, they are going to do so. And they use all this information to connect dots and use patterns that you do in your life to predict what you are going to do next. Their attempt at doing this is to stop crime before it happens. This is Minority Report level insanity, trying to believe you can arrest people before they commit a crime. Now, I don't know about you, but I do not feel comfortable with police being able to track my every move while keeping endless data on everything I do. And it's not like they're stopping serial killers. They're doing some of the most ridiculous things, and I'll use an example from Florida. More than 1,000 Pasco residents in Florida, including minors, were subject to random visits from police officers and were cited for things such as missing mailbox numbers and overgrown grass.
Or I can stroke both of you guys a citation for not having numbers on the house. What do you want to do?
What does that even mean? Numbers on the house?
You don't have an address on either the mailbox or this house.
Is that a blackmail? Yes, we do. We have our address on our mailbox right now.
On
the other side.
Of those 1,000 residents, 4 of them sued the county in 2021, and last year they reached a settlement in which the sheriff's office admitted that they had violated residents' constitutional rights. But this wasn't just happening in Florida. In LA, they discontinued their AI because of low accuracy, and it was reinforced reinforcing racial and socioeconomic bias. Palantir and AI is already in our neighborhoods, and they are tracking and getting as much information on us as possible. Alex Karp can't claim to stand for protecting and upholding our civil liberties while robbing us of them at every single turn. Something that you will soon realize: if you mention Palantir, Alex Karp, or Peter Thiel on the internet, you will be met with scrutiny due to so many people being invested in their company. Palantir being a public company is such an important factor of this situation because it allows them to hide behind an army of people that are praying for the company's success.
No one in this country cares how crazy you are if you deliver. That's true.
What these people fail to realize is they are being taken advantage of. They are rooting for a company that is stripping them of their freedoms, their rights, and even their lives. Investors will put their hopes of being rich before the well-being of others because they believe if they get rich enough, they can escape what's coming for all of us. Because they sell two of the most important things on earth: fear and power. We have entered a new era where humanity and morality is now data points processed through endless lines of code to be acted upon with the click of a mouse. Palantir sells fear that if someone had the power we could provide you, imagine what they would do to you. This is the essence of fascism, and fascism is here. It's a type of fascism the world has never seen before. It's something that controls our thoughts, emotions, and life through a meticulous algorithm that knows everything about us, intertwined with our highest powers of government. Alex Karp feared fascism would come for him, and now he's brought fascism to all of us. Because while his father chose to take care of children as a pediatrician, Karp has made his choice to kill them. And while his mother will leave a legacy of encapsulating the pain of prejudice and murder through art, Alex Karp has decided his fate as the bringer of death.